Good morning, everyone. In the last session, we discussed about the important concept called java.lang related packages here. So what are the main important concept we identified here? Now, if we observe carefully here, we discuss about the main classes. What are the main classes we have? Double class we identified, integer class, and double and integer, all the number related classes internally. It is extending from this particular number class. Okay, number is having some abstract method. All the abstract methods are implemented into the specific classes. And finally, we discuss about the Boolean. Boolean is one of the Vapor class. So differences between Vapor class and primitive type we discussed in the last session here. So same thing. Now it is applicable to the remaining classes. What are the remaining classes we are having? Now if you observe, one of the important class called byte here, and the second one is short class. Okay, and integer and long class. So we'll observe what exactly these particular classes are going to do. Now if you observe, okay, under this particular string builder, I'm removing this. Now what you can identify here, so this is a byte class. Okay, so this is one of the final class byte, and internally it is extending from the number class here. Okay, so we discuss about the number class. Number class having some abstract method. All the abstract methods are implemented under the number related classes. How many we are having currently? The integer category 4 and double category 2. So total 6 classes are extending this particular number class. Okay, now what you need to understand here, if you go to the constructors here, okay, constructor, now you can see these are the minimum value and maximum value. So it is something like a range of this particular byte. So we already discussed in the earlier days here. Now this is a toString. The toString is already overridden here. Now you can see what we are doing here, integer.toString method we are calling, and based on this particular value converting into int here. So typecasting, like smaller data type into bigger data type, bigger data type into smaller data type. We already discussed in the previous session. Now, what you need to understand here, if you observe carefully, parse byte method, based on this particular string, now it will try to convert into the byte format. Now here you can see number format exception. So you may get as a number format exception whenever you are trying to converting different data type into byte data type here. So when we are trying to converting byte data type, how we are going to convert here? Again, the ASCII value is important here. Okay, so these are the important conversions here. Now here what we are doing is integer dot parse into we are calling. So what exactly this particular is going to do, the second parameter called integer radix parameter here. What it will do? Now if you observe carefully here, the first argument is null or string. Okay, string of this particular length to 0. So here we can pass a null, or we can provide the length of this particular string here. Now what about this particular second parameter? So here you can see radix. What is saying here? So it is used to parsing the string value into number format here. Now if you go to this particular integer dot parse into, integer dot parse. Now what we are doing here, if else equals to null, we are going to throw an exception called number format exception, and here you can see whatever the value we are going to provide. Now if it is less than to the minimum radix, what is the value we are having? 2. Now we'll get a one more exception. Okay, now if you see what is the maximum radix, so 36. Now so below 2 you cannot provide, more than 32 you cannot provide. So between these particular values, now if you provide, now it will not throw any exception. Now it will go for this particular limit based on this particular length section. It is trying to converting into the integer format here. Now whatever we are calling here from this particular byte, this is also will do the same internally. It is calling this particular inside the byte also. Now it is calling integer dot parse into. We'll see what exactly the parse into method will do when we are trying to provide string related data. Now, if I want to convert into the integer or number related, like this will applicable for byte, short, integer, and long data type here. So the particular value it will convert here. If you are not providing the proper value, you will get an exception called number format exception. Okay, this is very important section we need to understand. And so constructor, as we discussed in the last session, constructors are deprecated from the 9 version here. If you see, this is a one of the constructor which is expecting the byte value, but this constructor it is removed from the 9 version. So this is also same. Now here you can see, whenever we are providing string related data, now we are throwing an exception. We are throwing an exception. Carefully observe, even though we are calling this constructor, internally it is calling the parse byte method. So above just now we discussed about the parse byte here. Here this is a method is going to call by default string value. Now what is the radix? By default we are providing 10 here. Okay. Based on this, now it will try to convert into the numbers here. So while converting, if we get any number related exception, this particular exception is going to be handled here. This is what we need to understand. Here we need to understand the minimum value, maximum value. Okay, so what is the range of this particular byte class? So now what are the methods we are having? So what is the main method basically? If you see byte value, short value, int value. From where this byte value is coming? This is coming from the the particular number class. So if you see, we are not doing any explicit conversion. Okay, for the byte type, we are not doing any explicit conversion because this is a class level value we provided. If you go here, private final, this is the data type called byte and the name of the variable called value. Now this is we are storing with help of constructor or with help of this particular value of method. Okay, value of is one of the static method. Using the static method, we'll try to convert the value into this particular byte data type here. Okay. After this, what we are doing is, when you're calling this byte value, it will return the correct value. Now, if you see, what about the short value? Explicitly, we are doing the typecasting for the short and integer, and here you can see long and float as well as double. Okay. Now here we are calling the toString. We are calling this particular toString here. Now what is the method we are calling? Integer.toString, and whatever the value we are having, we are converting this value as an integer, and finally we are calling integer.toString method. Now if you see what we are doing here, we are checking if it is a compact string. Now call the byte conversion, it will return this particular string related stuff here. Otherwise, it will do the new byte size in multiply with the 2. It will copy all the byte value and finally converting into this particular string object. In the both cases, it is doing the string, but only the difference is compact strings, or if it is not the compact, it will go to the UTF format, because these are all the ASCII related conversions here. Based on the ASCII value, it will provide the proper result here. Okay, but in our example, every time this the condition is going to be satisfied here. Okay, now this is all about the toString method under this particular byte class. Now same thing, if you go to here, toString method, hash code method. Okay, and now see the hash code, to hash code. This is a object to. After creating an object, we are going to call this hash code method. So this is the static hash code method. This is the special method which is available under this particular byte class. This is coming from the object class. Okay, equivalent hash code method toString by default available in the object class. Now if you are trying to override, that is a specific method to the specific class here. Now this is it is not coming from the object class, because object class method does not contain the static. Without the static, that is coming from the object class. Now whatever the static we provided, that is a specific method which is added under this particular byte class. Okay, this is the equal method, is also coming from the object class. We override in this particular equals method here. Okay, what we are doing here, earlier we discussed about the instance of keyword. So what exactly the instance of keyword will do? Whatever the parameter we are passing, Now it is a type of this particular byte. If it is a type of this particular byte, condition will satisfy. If the type is not a byte, this particular condition is not going to be satisfied here. Okay, this is what we need to understand here. Now compare to. So this compare to basically which is coming from the comparable interface. By default, now if you go to the class level, by default, if you see this particular class level is trying to implement from this particular interface called comparable. So comparable is one of the interface here. Basically, what exactly this comparable will do here? Here you can see from the current object. Okay, from the current object, the given object is less than object or greater than object or both objects are equal. So this method purposes is basically it will try to check the given object is going to compare with the current object. If it is the given object is greater than, we'll get the positive value. If the given object is less than, we'll get the negative value. So if the both object, current object and parameter object both are equal, it will try to return as a 0. Okay. So here, this particular information, if you read, you will understand what exactly this particular comparative method will do internally. Okay. This is the one of the important interface. We'll discuss later how this comparable is going to be implemented. But the basic understanding which is required here. Coming back to here, now this comparable, mainly all the java.lang related classes are implemented by default here. So if you go to any number related classes, by default it is going to be implemented. In the string class also, we already identified here. Okay, now you can see. Now if you observe carefully, so this is the current size we are going to insert into this particular byte here, and this is one of the serial version UID. What exactly we'll do? The serial version UID basically, whenever we are trying to converting an object over the network, like serializing and deserializing concept, will send an object over the internet. Now whether the given object is the same byte class or not, so to identify that particular purpose, we'll use this particular serial version UID, because this particular serial version UID, it is not going to be changed here, so that we can understand this is the class of byte class here. So this is the main purpose of this particular the serial version UID here. Okay, now whatever we discuss here, so same concepts are implemented under this particular short class, long class, and integer class here. Okay, try to review this particular the number related all the classes here. You'll understand how this particular section of codes are going to be implemented here. Now if you see what are the specific method here under this particular byte class. Now if you see hash code method, equals method, compare to method we discuss here, compare method. Now what exactly compare will do is going to check these two objects, return x minus y, return x minus y. If the x value greater than this particular y, you will get the positive. If the y is greater than value, now you will get the negative values. If the both are equal, you will get the 0 here. Okay, you will get the 0. But here we are not checking the current object. Whatever the byte value are providing, whatever the byte value, 2 byte values are providing, so though it is going to check greater than, less than, and equal related concept here. Now you can read this, what exactly this particular compare unassigned value. Okay, now what exactly this particular compare unassigned value is going to do here? If you read this particular method description, what is saying here, so it's going to compare 2 byte value numerically, both are unassigned here. Okay, here you can see byte dot to unassigned int, where we are having this particular method. This is the method. Now what we are doing is we are converting into this particular int based on this particular some bitwise operations here. So mainly this is not going to be used. Any rare cases will work on this particular unsigned to unsigned related int method. But mainly we'll go for this particular compare method, and we'll go for this particular compare method, equals method, hash code method. Okay. So same concepts are already implemented under the each and every the all the number related. Number related is nothing but short, integer, long, float, and double classes. So these are the important classes we need to understand here. Now, converting number to from this particular thing, what exactly we are doing here? For all this particular section of code, if I want to convert, we'll use a parse method. Okay, parse method. So this particular parse method, if I want to convert string to int, parse into. If I want to convert parse long, string to long, we'll go for the long parse long method. Now, if you want to convert parse string into byte here, so just now we discussed about the parse byte here. Okay, so same thing, it is applicable for parse double, parse float, and parse short. Now, what you are understanding, this method basically it will try to use converting the string related data type into the number related data type here. Okay, this is what we need to understand here. Now, what exactly we are going to use it? So to understand this, we'll have a simple example on this. Observe carefully here. So this is the buffer reader we are having. Now, this example we already discussed in the previous example, but one more time, now I'm trying to discuss about this particular buffer reader. Now, if you observe, I'm trying to take input from this particular system.in. Okay. Now, after this, what I'm doing here, string str and int I, you can make a declaration, and here int sum is equals to 0. Okay. Now, after this, what I will do, here if you see, here I'm going to write one message here. So this message important here. Enter the numbers, and whenever you enter this particular 0, we'll stop this particular loop here. So what is the loop I'm going to use it? Here I'm going to use do while. So why we are using this particular do while here? Because we are going to check this particular value. Okay, what is the value we are going to check here? Now if you see str, here reader dot read line. So read line we already discussed in the previous example. Now read line, why we are getting an error? Because it is going to throw an exception. Try with a catch block here. Now we identified here. So reader method we may get an exception here. After this, what I'm doing here I'm going to call the integer dot parse into. Now we are going to pass string related. So this is a string I'm passing. Okay. Now after converting, we'll get an I value. So what is the I type we are having? Integer. Okay. Now after this, if you get any exception, instead of throwing this particular rethrowing an exception, here we can go for the invalid format. Okay. And here I value 0. So I'm making I value 0. After this particular try and catch block, now here what I'm doing here, I want to find out the sum of this particular I here. Okay, sum of I. Now after this, here we'll print this particular sum of I. And this I not equals to 0. Whenever the I value not equals to 0, this program is going to be run. If the value you provided as 0, what happens internally? It will try to stop the execution. Now if you see, this program is expecting inputs here. What are the inputs we can provide? Now, for example, this is the value I given. Whenever I'm trying to click on enter, now you can see what is the str you are getting? 456123. But this str, it is not a integer number. Str, it is not a integer number. Basically, it is a string here. Now, what we are doing here, we are calling this particular integer dot parse into to convert the given string into integer format here. Now, if you see, what is the I value we are getting? What is I value we are getting? 456123. Whatever we provided, same value. But earlier we got as a string reference. Now we converted into the integer. Finally, we are trying to do this particular operations here. Some of this, now while is still it is expecting few more read values. Now if I provide 0, now here you can see what happening. Condition is false. We are coming out of this particular loop. Now program is going to be stopped here. So initial value this, now after giving this particular 0, now same value I'm printing because I'm not replacing the value here. Second time this particular program is repeated, we provided this particular 0, so it is not going to be added any more values here. But what you need to understand carefully, here you need to understand the parse into method is trying to converting string into integer related format here. Okay. Now if you observe same example, here I am going to pass as a buffer reader. Now if you see str, what we are getting? Buffer reader we are getting. Now I am trying to converting into this particular buffer reader. So carefully observe what is an exception we are getting. So number format exception. Just now we discussed, if you are not providing the proper values, you will get as a this particular exception. Now here you can see what is the value we given? String as a buffer reader. So this particular string, it is not going to be converted. So even though we are trying to providing string, inside the string, it should be the number related value. So those values successfully, it will try to convert into this particular integer here. Or you can go for the byte, you can go for the short, whatever you are interested here. Okay. But whenever you are doing the conversion, you need to be very carefully. Range also important. For example, so the same example I am going to run with one more time. Now here you can see this is the value I given. Sorry, let me stop this. I want to use byte value. So this is a integer dot parse it. Byte dot parse byte. Okay. Now this is the method. Now what I will do, I'm going to run with a debug mode. Same value, whatever the value I given, something like 456123. Now if click on enter, str is coming as a 456123. After this, now you can see value out of range. The value out of range. So why we are getting this out of range here? Okay, now we'll debug this particular code. So same value I'm going to give you. Now if you observe carefully, so this is a method. Now we'll go for the parse height. Now if you see, by default, we provided the string. Now one more method we are having parse byte. The the radix is expecting 10. Now let me go for the internally. Now finally, what is the method we are calling? Integer dot parse int method we are calling. Now we are going for the parse int here. S value, it is not a null. Okay, we are checking here. This condition is failed. So this condition is also failed. We are coming back to below. Okay. Now s dot length. So what is the length we are having? 6. Integer I value 0. Now here, what is the limit basically? What is the limit we are getting here? Integer max value minus and limit here. Now if you see limit, this is the limit, but this limit we are getting as a minus. Now length we are having 6, so it is a greater than 0. Condition is satisfied. Now s dot caret, string dot caret, we already discussed here. In the 0 position, whatever the character we are having, we are loading this particular method. Now if you see, what is the first character? First character is 4. Okay, because we provided 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. The first character we are loading as a 4 here. Now after this, first character, if it is less than 0, okay, even though this we are giving 0 in the single quotes, it will treat as a number. Because in Java, character and string both are similar. Automatically it will convert character related or integer related here. So now condition is false. Checking with below here. Now what we are doing is limit divided by this particular whatever the radix we provided here. Now what is the value we are getting? This is the some minus value we are getting, some bigger value. Now observe carefully. What is the I value? Currently here we define the I value. This is the I value, initially 0. Now we are under the while loop. Now we are under the while loop. So I less than length here. Length we are having 6. Okay. Come back to here. Character dot digit method we are calling, and here we are calling s dot caret, and here if you observe carefully I plus plus, it is a post increment operator. Okay, so using this particular post increment operator, now every time we are increasing the I value, every time we are increasing, and we are trying to find out this particular digit. Now what is the digit you are getting here? Again we are getting as a 4 here. Okay, now here you can see, again we are checking if less than 0, or if it is this particular whatever the minus 214, the bigger number value we identified here. Now if any one of the condition is satisfied while formatting into this particular string, we'll get an exception, but this condition is not satisfied. Now you can see result divided by result multiplication is equals to this particular radix. Now what is the result we are getting currently? 0. Now carefully observe, result less than limit plus digit. Now limit plus digit, what is the limit we are having? Minus. Now digit 10, so it will, the value become minus only. But if you see what happening, basically this condition is also still failing. Now we are coming back to here. Again we are checking the result, minus 4 we are getting. If you see here, we are doing the multiplication with the same value. Here we are doing the subtraction. Now while loop is one time completed. So second time. Now currently what is the I value? I value 1. Where the I value increase here? Here we are increasing the I value. So this particular place, now we are increasing this particular I value here. Okay, now what you need to understand here, second time the loop is repeating. Now again we are increasing the I value. We are loading this particular digit 5. Now you can go for the multiplication. Now here you can see subtraction 45 we are getting result. Now one more time the loop is repeating. So third value. Okay, digit 6. 3 times, 4 times. Coming out of this. Okay, so fourth time is completed. Fifth time we are trying to repeat. I value 5th. Now you can see still it is not satisfied any condition. So last time I value 6 and length is I value 5, length is 6. So condition still satisfying, and this is the last iteration. Now you can see we are coming out of this. Now after coming out of this particular value, what happens basically? What is the negative? Negative basically here we provided by default as a false. But where we are checking, if it is this particular condition is satisfied, okay, now we are checking this particular negative. If hyphen if you provide, or plus if you provide something, in that case the value is going to be true and we'll get an exception. But in our case, it is not satisfied. Negative is false, so that this particular result is going to be written. Because if the negative true, this result. But currently, this is the result we are going to get. Now, 45, 6, 1, 2, 3 we are getting. Now, coming out of this particular section, now if you see, what is the value we are getting? 4, 5, 6, 1. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. What is the value we provided? 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Same. Get in the pen. Even though this is a string value, we converted into this particular integer. So int range is little bit bigger compared to this particular byte. But main concern here, whatever the maximum value we are having, what is the maximum value we are having? 127. But what is the value we given? So something like 456123. This is the value. It is a greater than the current maximum value or current range of this particular byte here. So because of this, now we are getting an exception. Okay. Now this is only I suggested. Minimum value minus 128. Maximum value 128. So whatever the value we are providing, it should be within this particular range. If it is not within this particular range, what happens internally? You will get an exception. Okay. So this is very important for this particular byte data type here. Now because of this, we are getting a value out of the range. Value out of the range. So what is the value? This is the value. Now what is the current to the radix value we provided? This is the value. So 10. So this is important here. For example, same example. Here I am going to run with one more time. Simply I will enter 45. Okay. We'll go for the same iterations. Parse byte method. Integer parse into. We are checking here. Okay. Now you can see condition is satisfied. Length is a greater than 0. First character we are identifying here. What is the first character? It is 4. Now we are checking with 0. Condition is not satisfied. Coming back to here. Okay, after this we are checking the while loops. Now digit. So this is the 4 digit. After this we are doing the multiplication. Now if you see, this is the result as of now. Now how this multiplication is going to be implemented? This particular section also we already discussed in the initial status, like a result is equals to result multiply with radix here. Okay. Now what is the result we are going to get? The result again we are setting into this particular variable called result here. Okay. This particular line is saying the 654. Now if I go for the next line, what is the result value? Result still we are getting 0. Why we are getting? Because initially the result is 0. If you multiply any value with 0, the result will get as a 0 only. Now this is we identified. Again, if you observe here 0 less than this particular limit and the digit here. So if you do the addition, still we are getting as a false here. Still we are getting as a false, because what is the limit we are having? This is a minus 214 something. The minus value, it is a less than to this particular 0 here. But here what we are doing is we are doing this particular digit. Because of this, condition is not satisfying. We are doing this particular subtraction. Finally we are getting as a minus 4 here. Okay. Now after this, now what you need to understand, second time 4 we got it. Now if you observe carefully, here we are doing the multiplication with the radix, but here we are doing the digit here. Digit we are doing here. Okay. Say minus 4 we are getting. Now one more time. Now we'll get as a result as a minus 4 and 5 here. Coming out here, printing this. Now this is a false, because whatever the 45 we provided, that is within the range of 127. Now it is trying to returning as a byte here. Now you can see 45 value it is printing. Okay, this is a way we need to understand this particular, the parse byte parse into parse float short. We have a, for each and every wrapper class, we'll have this particular method here. Okay, so any questions so regarding this particular conversion string to byte here? Okay, now what you need to understand here, these are the number related stuff we identified. Now we'll go for the character related. So to understand this particular character related, now what we can identify here, first we need to discuss about the character class. First we need to discuss about this particular character class. So character, now if you see, character is one of the final class again, and directly it is implementing serializable as well as comparable. So there is no extending the class. There is no extending the class. All are by default implementing these two interfaces, serializable as well as comparable. We'll discuss later about the serializable, what exactly it will do. Now here you can see minimum radix value and maximum radix value. So whatever we discussed for this particular integer related data types here, same thing is applicable for here also. Okay, now you can see minimum value, maximum value. If you are not providing any value, by default this is the value it is going to store. By default this is the value it is going to store, and this is the maximum value here. Now you can see we are converting type here. Okay, so if you provide this particular char, by default it will convert it into this particular character type here. Now, so these are the, so additional variable we are using under this particular character class here. We'll see what exactly this character class is going to be implemented. Now, when this particular character is deprecated, now if you see why we are getting this particular, in between character we are getting one line here. So why we are getting this particular line here? Because this is deprecated. So this is deprecated from this particular line, version 9 onwards. From the version 9 onwards, now it is deprecated. So what is the current version I'm using here? Now if you see, so 11 version I'm using. Because of this particular 11 version, this particular constructor is deprecated. If you are using before 9 version, up to 8 version, you will not see this particular deprecated information. Okay, this annotation is added from the version 9 onwards. Now observe carefully here, after 9 this constructor is no longer useful. So what is the best option to use? What is the best option to use the character object here? Character dot, here we are having value of method. Okay, here what is the value we can provide? So you should provide the character value. Now if you give this particular character value, you will get the character object. Now whenever you are getting the character object, you can do the toString, convert into the char data type, char value, hash code equal compare to. Okay, hash code equal compare to method we identified. So this is what we need to understand the specific method. So mainly we'll use this particular char value to convert into the char primitive type, not the character wrapper class. So this is very important here. Basically, here Java will give you the by default automatic conversion. So character to char. Okay, and char to character type here. See, this is the character value we are giving. Now it is converting into the object type here. It is converting object type here. Okay, basically this is the primitive type value. Yeah. Now what we are doing is converting into object type here. From the object. From the object, what we are doing here? We are calling this particular method here. Which method we are calling here? Char value. Now what is doing here? This step, the first one, char to character object. So simply I am trying to write character object here. Okay. So second one, char object to. Now again it is converting char type here. So this particular section it is applicable here. The char value method, this is the second step. Object to char primitive type and char primitive type into object type here. So this is what we need to understand how this particular conversion. This is basically automatic conversion. So we are not doing any explicit conversion here. So same thing it is applicable for byte related. So like object to primitive type. Okay, and primitive type to object. This is also automatic typecasting. For all the primitive type and object type, objects are going to be automatically converted here. For that purpose, what you need to do, the specific method you need to call. For example, char value method. Now what exactly this char value is doing internally? It is trying to return as a value. So what exactly this value saying here? If you go to here, private final char value. Now if you see here, we are trying to do the primitive type. But here, even though this construct is deprecated, what exactly we are doing here? Char value. Char is a parameter. Now we are trying to assign into this particular, this dot value is equals to value. We did in the previous classes also. Now, value of method. So this is the value of method we call here. Now if you see, here we are passing this char. Now carefully observe, C less than or equals to 127. If this particular C less than or equals to 127, what we are doing it? We are doing this particular caching mechanism. We are doing the caching mechanism. If more than value we are giving, simply we are doing the character. So from the cache, whatever the character you will provide, it will try to return from this particular cache. So these are the 0 to 127, whatever the ASCII value we are having, all the ASCII value by default it is cached here. So simply it will load from there, and if more than the 127, it will go for this particular character. Okay, this is what we need to understand here. So hash code, again we are having two hash code. One is a static one and one is a non-static here. One is a static and another one is non-static. If you see ch1 dot hash code. Okay, character dot hash code. But if you see the difference here, so if you see the difference, what is saying here? Non-static method hash code cannot be referenced to the static. But here what we need to provide here? We need to provide the char value. Then only it will give you the hash code of this particular given value. But here by default, this one return entire object. So let's observe. For example, here I given as a small a here. Okay, this also I want to print because it is trying to return as a integer type here. So stop and rerun the same example. Now you can see 97 we are getting. 97 and 97. 97 basically it is a small a value. In the ASCII table, you will find this particular 97 as a small a. For example, if I give dot, what is the value we are going to get here? 46 we are getting. The dot is available, the dot value as a 46 under the ASCII table. So this is a way we can find out the hash code of this particular character. Hash code is nothing but here it is doing the different mechanism. Hash code here trying to find out the ASCII value of this particular given character here. But whereas if you go for the another object here, based on the object reference here, it is going to generate some hash code here so that we can identify both objects are same or both objects are different. The different for integer related classes, the hash code is different. For the character related hash code, it is different because in the character related concept here, simply we are trying to return the ASCII value. Okay, ASCII value is nothing but based on the table we are having for each and every character we are having one value. The particular value it is going to return based on the particular character whatever we are going to provide. So this is the another important section we need to understand this particular class here. Now what you need to understand here. Here we are having one other important section called one more method is digit. So what exactly this particular method is doing here. Now if you see we are having one static method and it is a boolean type here. What exactly this method is doing is digit. Whether whatever the value we given, it is a number or not here. Now we are calling this one. Now if you see character decimal digit number. Now what is saying this particular? It is providing as a 9 here. Okay, it is providing as a 9. Now what we are doing here, we are calling one method. We are calling internally get type method. Here we are checking this particular value we are providing. Whatever the value we provided, whether it is a digit or not. So here we are doing the double equal to operator. What it will do? It is going to check the object value comparison. So we'll go for to this particular get value. Now what is doing here? Internally you can see character data off. So off basically it will try to create a object of this particular character data. Now code point after this get type. Where it is implemented, get properties, and here we are checking the property value yx offset 556. Okay, so if you see we are converting the number as a character. The given number is available within this particular length or not, so that whether the given number is a digit or it is not a digit number. So if you read this, let me go to the okay. Now if you read this, what exactly this method is saying here. So determine if the specified character is a digit or not. Given character whether it is a digit or not. Now by default, so based on this particular Unicode system, okay, some Unicode systems are going to be look like this one here. Arabic Indian, like we are having based on the different the data types here. So these are the different format we are having here. But now, so whatever the character we are providing, so if we want to check the given number is a digit or not, we can understand easily. Now observe, for this also we need to discuss about this particular character related section here. So these Vapor classes are very important classes because based on this particular classes only we'll try to work on the any real-time application, or if you want to work with any logical program, anything. So if you want to write a single line of statement or single simple program, these Vapor classes are important here. Now here char ch1 is equals to this is a and this is B. So in place of C I will go for the 5, and here I will go for the question mark. So question mark is also one constant like a character, and I'm not doing anything. Okay, this is the character array provided. Now what I'm doing here, I'm going to use one loop here. Into I is equals to 0, I less than ch1 dot length here. character dot is digit. Now what we will do? ch1 hyphen I am going to provide. So we are checking given number is a digit or not. If it is a digit, now what we will do? I will print the message here only. This is a digit. Okay. So now if we are having any uppercase related or white space related, character dot is white space. So same concept we'll use here, ch of I. Okay. Now here, what is the message we can write here? It is this particular character now is holding the white space. So white space is nothing but empty. Now one more condition I'm checking here. Character dot is something letter or not. The given character is a letter or not. If it is a letter, we'll print this. Okay. Now one more. What you need to understand here, character dot is uppercase. Given character is a uppercase or not. So these are the Boolean related methods. It will try to return as a Boolean value based on the proper condition here. If the character is uppercase, it will return is uppercase. Okay. So same thing is applicable for here, something like character dot is lowercase. Now whatever the ch1 we are having, now I'm trying to print lowercase. Now this is what we need to understand. Now if I'm going to run this example in the debug mode, now you can see what is the length of this particular ch1, 0 to 5. So 32, what we observed in the previous example, it is a space here. Okay. So 0 to 5 we are having. After this, now identify is digit. So given number is a digit or not. Now it will not print. Now you can see nothing is printing in the console because it is a character. It is not a number here. Okay. Now go for the second condition. Whether this particular I is nothing but a value. It is a white space? No. It is not a white space. Now if you go to the whether it is a letter, yes, it is a letter here. What is the letter we are having? Something like a here. Here you can see the first one is a letter. Now second one is uppercase? No. It is only lowercase here. A is a lowercase value. Okay, same thing. Now second iteration. What is the second iteration value? B. It is not a digit. It is not a white space. It is not a letter. It is not a it is a letter value because it is a character. Now it is not uppercase. It is a lowercase. Now you can see 5 B is a letter and B is a lowercase. Now if you go to the first condition, now it is a digit here. Here you can see 5 is a digit. Now what about this particular white space? No, it is not a letter. uppercase, lowercase. All our conditions are failed. Only the first condition is satisfied. What about the question mark? Question mark is not a digit. It is not a white space. It is not a letter here. Now if you see, it is not a letter here because it is a symbol. Now nothing is printing for this particular question mark here. Now you can see, so they say something like a capital letter. Okay, A is a letter and A is a uppercase. The last one, it is a white space. It is a white space. So this is what we need to understand regarding this particular character related static method. These are the static methods. So with help of the class name, we are calling the each and every method. However, earlier we call the value of method character dot value of to get the character object. Same way, so these are the some certain condition related method. All the methods are going to be written as a boolean value based on the condition. If the condition is satisfied, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false here. This is what we need to understand here. Okay. Now, any questions regarding this particular character related methods here? Okay. Now, if we don't have anything, so we are having one of the important section of class called void here. Now, if you see here, void also is coming from the java.lang package. Now, when this class is introduced here you can see public final class void. Public final class void. It is coming from the 1.1 onwards. Now, what we are doing here, simply we are trying to check this particular type here. Whenever you are providing any void related sections, this is the type we are going to use. Okay. Now here you can see private void. This is basically we cannot create a object of this particular void class. So this is a constructor. Now we provide it as a private. Whenever we are providing private, we are not going to create a object. Okay. So mainly what is the purpose of this particular void class here? This particular void class, whenever if method it is not going to be written anything, so in that case just we'll use the type here, the void type here. That is the main purpose of this particular class here. We'll see later when we are trying to discuss about the Spring related concepts here, we'll observe how this void is going to be used here. How this particular void is going to be used here. So now, so this is the void class. Now we discussed previously character related, byte related. Now work on the integer related, short related, okay, float and double related. These are the number related vapor classes. So once you completed this, now we'll discuss about the one of the important abstract class called process. The what exactly this particular process class is going to do. Now after this particular process class, now we need to discuss about the some runtime related classes here, method related classes, and we'll go for the memory management related concepts here. Okay, so we have a few more classes. These are the classes are important here. Now we'll discuss this section of code in the tomorrow session here. Okay, mainly these are the classes which are available under the java.lang package. So java.lang package is a core library for our Java language here. Okay, so that we need to understand each and every concept, how it is going to be used. So once a java.lang package is completed, now we'll go for the java.util packages sections here. Okay, so I'm stopping the session up here. We'll continue tomorrow. If anyone having any questions, you can ask me before going to close the current class. Okay, now if you don't have anything, so we'll continue tomorrow.